Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm Tami from Nutmeg Notebook. We're so happy to have you with us here today. So we have a great morning planned for you. We have a cooking demo. I'm super excited. Faith from Plant-Based Cooking for Kids Cookbook is in the house. She has an Instagram account, Faithful Plateful. You need to follow her there. I'm so excited about this cookbook, and I'm super excited to be able to share it with you all. And she is going to be cooking for us today. If you want to ask questions, you can in the chat. We just ask that you would preface the questions with 3 question marks and end with 3 question marks, just to help them pop out at us. Tom will be moderating. We also have Tiffany and Jesse moderating for us as well. And so let's welcome Faith to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Good morning, Faith. I'm super excited to be able to share this with our community. So if you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you cook for your neighbors, you need this cookbook. And I can tell you that it's already a huge hit with our grandchildren. I was sharing with Faith that they came over last Thursday after we got done with our show, and I got this out. I said, I have something new to show you. And I got out the cookbook and they said, is it vegan? I said, yes. And they said, is it just for kids? Because they could tell by the cover. And I said, it is. And so we went through it page by page, and they picked out 2 things for us to make. We made the Dole Whip, and they loved it. And they got to help make it, which was super exciting and fun for them. And we made the fruit cobbler, which was also fun and so delicious. And I have to say that it's also delicious for adults. And Tom made a ton of it. And so thank you so much for making a cookbook like this that's healthy for kids to cook out of, Faith. It's wonderful.
Thank you. So glad they loved it.
Yeah, it was so exciting. So share with everybody a little bit about when you went plant-based, why you went plant-based.
Yeah, your story was just reminding me of when I was a kid. I loved the children's library, the cookbook section at the library, and I would check out, they have like American Girl cookbooks and all these different children's cookbooks. And I would bring them home and want to make food from them, but none of it was healthy. And I grew up in like a healthy-ish, but still fairly standard, diet. And I just loved to cook. And so now that I want to eat differently, it's been hard to let my kids or myself even like check out kids' cookbooks, because it's all just meat and cheese and sugar and white flour and stuff. But anyway, around when I was 16, my mom was kind of learning a lot about nutrition. I think she was watching her parents and my dad's parents go through a lot of health challenges in their old age. And so she started reading a lot of Joel Fuhrman's books and really felt that they were true and good. And so she and I decided to stop eating meat at that time. So I've been vegetarian since I was about 16, with some like wiggle room, certain periods of my life in there. But I was basically just vegetarian. That was it. And then when we were starting to want to have children, I just was not ovulating. I think I had symptoms of PCOS. And so I was really trying to figure out how to eat to fix that. And a lot of what you read is a very high protein, high fat diet. And that didn't feel right to me. And I think whenever you're trying to figure out how to eat for yourself, you need to really listen to your heart, listen to your gut, and seek inspiration. And the wisdom that I was getting was more plant-based. And I started to look into that more and just decided to really be more serious about that and eat less processed food, less sugar, cut out dairy and eggs and stuff like that. And I've just felt great. I've been fairly healthy my whole life, so it's not like a huge, before and after story, but I do think I've had a lot of benefits from it. Diabetes runs in my family, and so I'm particularly wanting to prevent that. And so I've been more whole food plant-based for about 5-6 years, but fairly plant-based before that too.
Well, and obviously it helped you. You have 3 children now too, as well. So,
Had a baby about 10 weeks ago. So,
oh my gosh, congratulations. That's so exciting. You're such a busy mom.
they are so precious and fun. I love it.
So how long did it take you to put together the cookbook? I'm curious. I haven't done a cookbook yet.
Yeah, it was not really in my plans, but I kind of just had a stroke of inspiration about a year and a half ago. And I was going to self-publish it. And I just thought, I need to create something to show families that you really can have delicious and healthy and fun all together. You don't have to just eat boring healthy food or fun junk food. It can be all of those things. And I could not find a cookbook that was that way. There's a few plant-based cookbooks for families, but they often have some strange ingredients in them that are not common. And that was kind of discouraging. Like, I just don't have brown rice in my kitchen and stuff like that. And so I wanted to make it really doable for everyone. Just common, simple ingredients you can buy at any grocery store, things you already have at home, probably if you're starting to transition. Just a really beginner-friendly plant-based cookbook that's really colorful with lots of pictures. If you look at lots of children's cookbooks, they don't have a photo for every recipe. And I think you really need to have a photo of every recipe so you know as a kid what you're trying to make. Anyway, so I just had that idea and started working on it. And so it's been about a year and a half in the making. I took the picture last Labor Day, 2021, and it's been in the publishing process ever since.
So how many days did it take you to do all the photographs? Because you had to make all the food.
Yeah, I did the bulk of it in just 2 days. I had got a dinner for my kids, and I cooked all one day, and then I took photos for one day, and then cooked all the next day, and then did photos the next day. So 2 photograph days, or maybe it was 3. I think I did that 3 times. And then I did a few others at a different time, but I did 90% of them in 3 days of photographing. So
that's amazing. And they're beautiful too. And I have to tell you, that's extremely appealing what you're saying, to have recipes for the kids so they can see. And you did such a great job. And they were so tickled with all of these. They wanted to do the avocado toast, but I didn't have any ripe avocado that day. So we're coming back to this page.
Cool.
To do that. So no, you did a wonderful job. It's really beautiful. So do your children have anything favorite out of this that they particularly like?
Yeah, I actually just started my own YouTube channel, and I have a little YouTube video there of my daughter's favorite recipes in this cookbook. But the one I'm making today is a favorite. My kids absolutely love tofu. So they love stir fry with tofu. And with this sauce, they really do like the vegetables too, because it's a really yummy sauce. They like the rice or the rice noodles, whatever I make with it. And they love the tofu. So that's a favorite dinner. Another favorite dinner is lentil tacos. And they're just an Instant Pot recipe. And you just put vegetable broth and taco seasoning and lentils in your Instant Pot. And that's it. But it's so yummy and so flavorful. And they really love those lentils. They're not too spicy, but they're flavorful. Another one is these taquitos. I guess you really like Mexican food, but I'll freeze these and then just pop them in the air fryer. So it's like a homemade convenience food, because you don't always have time to cook from scratch every meal. Here's another favorite, these shamrock shakes. They're just a shake that has some spinach in it for the green color, but you can't even taste the spinach. And then I do a drop of peppermint extract for a mint chocolate chip smoothie, or a dessert shake. They love that. Anyway, I could go on. No kid will like all 70 recipes in the book, but because kids are just fairly selective eaters inherently, but I hope that every family will find a really good arsenal of yummy recipes that are healthy, that their kids do like.
Yeah, and even though the cookbook is geared towards kids, everything in here will be enjoyed by adults as well, because it's really delicious and everything's very simple. to make as I'm looking through. And like you said, you're using all common ingredients that if you live in the middle of Nebraska, which I can say this because I'm from Nebraska, originally, if you live in the middle of Nebraska and you just have a Safeway grocery store, you're going to be able to find all of the ingredients to make the recipes that are in this cookbook. And I think that's very helpful for people because people get very discouraged when there's a lot of specialty ingredients in recipes and they don't have them available where they live.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was great. So tell us what happens when you get together with other families and they're not plant-based. How do you handle sharing food and that kind of thing?
I try to, always take something that my family will like and eat, our very yummiest options, and share that. I am a little more 90-10 with my kids and myself with processed food. Like I'm 100% plant-based for the most part, but I will let them have some sugar and white flour oil when we're with other people because I don't want to be, I don't want it to be a restrictive experience for them necessarily. But I always try to take something with me, and I try to host a lot of those events so that I can provide the food. And I just really enjoy doing that in general. I host lots of little, play dates and parties and stuff, and I enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I think that's because, I've listened to interviews with Dr. Joel Furman's wife and his daughters, and Dr. McDougall and his daughter. And, they educated, obviously, their kids about how to eat, but, didn't try to totally control it or make them feel bad when they made other choices. And so I think that's a really smart thing to do. Since my kids were already in college, when I decided to adopt this lifestyle, I was never faced with, how to make that work. And I get questions from people a lot asking me, and I'm like, I don't have anything to draw from to tell you how to do it,
Yeah.
So, but my daughter does the same as you.
Yeah.
She takes things with her. Yeah, that's good. So what happens when you get together for the holidays? Your mom's on board eating this way. What about other relatives? Are they on board as well?
Yeah, my side of the family is pretty on board when I go home to my family. That's easy, but my husband's side, not so much. They're not as into it, but they do respect the way that I try to feed my family, and they try to provide lots of plant-based options for me. And so it's always doable. Like at Thanksgiving, I just eat the side dishes. That's an easy one.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good. Well, let's get started with what you're going to make today. I'm super excited about this because I think a lot of times that doing Asian food can be a little bit tricky. So I'm super excited to see what you've done.
Yeah, tofu can be a little intimidating for some people who never tried it before. It's by no means a food that you have to eat, but we have really come to love it in the past couple of years. I never wanted to be one of those people who buys tofu. I thought that made you pretty weird. You cross over into the weird category when you start making tofu. But my daughter, when she was just brand new, was starting to eat solids. She did not like a lot of food. She had a very small appetite. So I really had to figure out how to give her food that had a lot of calories and some fat and calcium and iron and all those essential nutrients. I'll tell it like this so you can see my tofu.
Perfect.
Anyway, it was then that I started to experiment with tofu for her because it was nice and soft for the little, without a lot of teeth to be able to chew. And anyway, I'm kind of like the tofu queen now. I teach a lot of people about tofu, and I get tons of questions about tofu all the time. About what.
Okay, so did you press this tofu at all, or?
Oh, I usually buy extra firm or super firm, and you don't have to press that so much because it's already pretty firm. But my Costco just started only carrying firm, which is not very firm. Extra and super is best. But anyway, I had to press this for sure because I didn't want it so loose. But I have a little tofu press, which is not necessary. but this is just cheap on Amazon. You just put it in here and then you press this, like hooks down and it presses it, and it's super easy. It catches the liquid. But you could also just wrap it in a towel and put it under like a heavy pan for a few minutes to a few hours, as much as you have time for. And that presses out all the liquid so that it's better able to absorb the flavors you're putting on it. So in this case, I'm just going to toss it with a little bit of some soy sauce. You can use alternatives. You could use like tamari for gluten-free, or those liquid aminos, or coconut aminos, or whatever you want, but something soy sauce like to give it some flavor.
And I just want to tell people that I just at Costco the other day, they had the great big bottle of coconut aminos. It's the first time I've ever seen it at our Costco.
Yeah, that's exciting because it can be pretty good. So that's a good, more affordable way to do it, probably.
Absolutely.
So I'm just tossing this tofu. A rubber spatula in particular helps it not break up so much because it's more flexible. And then I'm going to toss it with a little bit of cornstarch, or you could use some arrowroot powder, and that absorbs some of the extra moisture too, so that it gets more crispy on the outside. Ideally, actually, I don't use cornstarch. I just use some nutritional yeast because that adds really gummy flavor, and it also makes it crispy on the outside at the same time, like the cornstarch does, and adds that nutrition. But I just ran out of my big bag. And that's not something, because I like to get the non-fortified kind, which you have to order. So anyway, that's why I'm using cornstarch right now. And you can either bake this if you don't have an air fryer, but I do have an air fryer, and that's cheap, or it's faster. So I'm going to put that in the air fryer to get crispy while we make the vegetable stir fry with the sauce.
So what temperature and for how long?
So I'm just going to do my defaults, which is like 370 for about 10 to 15 minutes. And you can shake it if you have the basket occasionally to separate it all. You could also just bake this at, let's see, about 350 for like 30 minutes.
I do find my grandkids love tofu. And when our oldest was little, she would eat it plain, just like out of the package.
My kids will eat it out of the package. I would never do that, but it is fully cooked. It's totally fine to eat it raw or packaged.
I don't think it tastes that good plain. I don't know what the attraction is to them, but isn't that funny?
No flavor by itself, but it's funny. All right, so for the stir fry sauce, I'm going to put some ingredients in the blender. A little bullet would be better, but I don't have my little bullet anymore. It died. I'm just going to put 2 cloves of garlic in there and like a little piece of fresh ginger. And then I'm going to do some sweetener of some sort. You could use like pineapple juice concentrate, or apple juice concentrate. I'm just going to use maple syrup today. And we kind of like a lot of sauce. My family likes a lot of sauce. So we're going to make it's a bigger batch in my recipe of sauce, because sometimes it's just the tiniest little bit. But we have 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup and 1/4 of a cup of soy sauce or alternative. And then you can make this non-creamy or creamy. And I find that I struggle to get enough calories and fat into my kids. They don't need a ton, but they need a tiny bit at least. And so I'm going to put tahini in this. You can use peanut butter too, if that's what you have. Tahini is a little bit of a new ingredient to some people, but it's just blended up sesame seeds. And it has kind of a strong flavor that I don't particularly like all the time, but it's not overly strong in this recipe. And it just adds a really nice, subtle, nutty flavor to our stir fry sauce. So I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of that.
So we have a question for you, Faith. TS wants to know, do you ever freeze tofu in its package and then defrost it for a different texture?
Yeah, that's a really great tip, actually, because the ice, when it freezes, kind of creates more sheets between the tofu, and it makes it more flaky and meat-like. So that's a great way to preserve it, but also to improve the texture if you want.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar or lime juice, if that's what you have. And then I'm going to do another tablespoon of cornstarch or arrowroot powder that will thicken it on the vegetables. And that's it. So I'm just going to blend that together, and then our stir fry sauce will be all ready. For the actual stir fry, I've already chopped up about 6 cups of vegetables. You can do whatever ones your family likes, or whatever you have to use up. This is a great way to use up the random little extra bits of vegetables that you have in your drawer. I think we all always have those that I'm constantly thinking, how can I use that, tiny bit of asparagus and all that. So I'm going to put this into a skillet with just a little bit of water. I always water saute, and all the recipes in my book are 100% oil free. And
yeah, there's no need to use oil. We just, we didn't know that before we went plant-based, but we don't have to have oil at all. We can cook everything without it.
Might as well save your fat for something even more yummy than oil on your
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to saute those vegetables until they're like kind of crisp tender. And then you can cook rice to go with this. Sometimes my kids get a little burned out on brown rice. So I kind of mix it up with these rice noodles. I get these at Costco. You can order them too. It's just brown rice and millet. That's the only ingredients. And I'm just going to cook.
We buy those too.
They're so yummy and they're so fast. They cook in about 3 minutes once you get your water boiling. So I'm going to do that. But you can also just use rice, which is, even less processed. But I'm going to mix the rice and the noodles together. And then, the rice noodles and the vegetables together. And then pour that sauce on and then add the tofu on it or to the side. A lot of kids like their food more separated than all mixed together. And so I find that when I separate the food, like I'll make a dish for me and then I'll make a version for them that's the food separated. And they like that better for some reason. I guess it's less overwhelming for them. So I'll make like a big bowl of salad greens and quinoa and a dressing and vegetables and stuff. And I kind of do everything separate for them and they eat it better that way.
I think that's a really good tip. And we have found that to be true with our grandkids as well.
Yeah, like a little box or a plate that has separators in it. Those work well.
Yeah, I have those too. I have little trays that have all the different little cubbies and they like that. There's something about having everything mixed together they're less receptive to, but yeah, if I put everything in little containers, then they'll eat it. It's interesting. So great tip.
I'm interested to know who's listening who has children who eat this way, like what some of your struggles are with your kids. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm no expert, but I think about it a lot. How to help people get those nutritious foods into their kids. You need all the tricks and tips you can get. Our society just markets, the unhealthy food to children so much, and all their friends and peers are eating that way. And it takes work to feed your kids nutritiously. So I'm happy to talk about it and brainstorm with you.
Okay, so Tiffany would like to know, what are some of your favorite recipes to have on like for a Thanksgiving menu?
Yeah, I'm working on a blog post about that right now. I do lots of the side dishes. The past couple of years, I've made like a seasoned tofu as like the main dish. That's the biggest challenge, right? Is like the main dish because there's lots of vegetable sides you can fill up on. But I'll kind of season some tofu in like a poultry seasoning flavor and have that, or you can do like a lentil loaf. So many options.
So if you do, the poultry seasoning is a really good idea. And just so everybody knows, there is no poultry in the poultry seasoning. It's vegan. It's perfectly fine to use it. And so do you bake it then or air fry it, or how do you cook it then?
I'll marinate it in like some soy sauce with that seasoning. So it's like rosemary and marjoram and thyme and stuff like that. It smells really good and savory. And I'll marinate that as long as I can, like even overnight. And so it really soaks up that flavoring. And then, yeah, I'll just bake it. I'll cut it into little slices and bake it like that. And it's just yummy with the potatoes and gravy and, you know, your sweet potatoes, your cranberry sauce, like it all fits so well.
Yeah, I love that. I have not thought to do that with tofu. So that I'm going to write that down. That's a great idea. I love it. Because it's the flavor. It's not like we don't miss chicken or turkey or anything like that. We don't miss the meat. It's the flavors that, you know, it's the seasonings that we used to flavor everything with that we miss. And so you can totally do that with tofu. That's such a great idea. What about for dessert?
I have some pumpkin pie crumble bars on my blog. Those are really yummy. Or there's just lots of plant-based pumpkin pie recipes out there. That's my personal favorite, is pumpkin pie. The fruit cobbler in my cookbook would be a good dessert. I also have, I guess I'm really into tofu more than I think. I don't eat it every day, but there's a really yummy silken tofu chocolate pie that my family loves too.
Nice. So, and I want to tell everybody in the description of the YouTube video. So if you click on the more button, we have the recipe for what Faith is making today. And then we also have links to her website. You can buy the book. It's pre-order. When is I know I was very fortunate to get this early copy from you. Thank you so much for that, Faith. But if people pre-order now, when will the books ship? Do you know?
Between November 15th and the 22nd. So just in a couple weeks. So if you order on Amazon, right now it's on sale for $16.99. And I think after it's released, it will be the full normal price, which is $24.99. So it's a great time to buy it on Amazon right now. Or you can go to my publisher's website, which is bushelandpeckbooks.com. And you can buy any 4 books there and get 4 free. Not just my cookbook, but any of their children's books, which are all darling and amazing. So if you have a lot of kids to buy for, or like Christmas gifts, you could get 8 knocked out right there. That kind of makes it a half price book.
Nice. That's great. So what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just Faithful Plateful.
Okay, great. So everybody, you need to find that and follow Faith on Faithful Plateful.
Yeah, I really try to address the practical side of whole food, plant-based eating, just like you do. Like the nutrition education is wonderful and so important, but what do you eat? You know, like I'm trying to help people figure out like, what do I feed my kids and what can be fast and doable and, you know, really help. So I have lots of practical videos on there and I'm coming out with more all the time. And Instagram is my main platform. I share like lots of little daily tips in my Instagram stories, especially for moms and kids.
And how do you find time to do that with 3 little kids? I'm just amazed.
It's just what I enjoy doing. And I think when you're a mom, you really need to prioritize what you enjoy too. And not just simply give, but also do things that feed your soul. And this is just a desire and interest I've had since I was young. And so I try to prioritize that. Thankfully, I do have to cook 3 times a day. And so I have lots of content. So I can just give really quick of what I made. And it kind of flows into my daily, duty anyway. So.
That's right. You've got a lot of practice. Mary Jo is asking, I think she missed it when you were talking about your tofu press or another method. Is it handy so you can show that again? Perfect.
This is the ToFuture brand, and it just has like a little basket on the inside. So you put your block of tofu in there and there's holes. And you put this press cover on it, and then it goes into this little basket that catches the liquid. So then you strap these little things down, and that's what presses down on the tofu. And you can just stick this in your fridge like overnight, or just leave it on the counter for even just 10 minutes. Really presses most of the liquid out. The longer, the firmer your tofu will be. I love to buy the brands that don't even require pressing though, because pressing can be a little overwhelming the first time you make tofu. So my favorites are the super firm brands, and Nasoya has one. It's almost always at all Walmarts in the produce section. In the refrigerator aisle, there's usually some like vegan type foods at the Walmart produce, and they have a super firm tofu that does not need pressing at all. It's so firm. And then Trader Joe's also has the organic super firm tofu, and Costco sometimes carries like a 4-pack of two.
Yeah, it's very economical to get it at Costco, but you do have to press theirs because it is pretty watery. I also like in the book, you have mixes that you pre-make. Can you talk to us about those too?
Yeah, I love doing that because then it just makes your meal prep so much faster. So I have like a gravy mix and a pancake mix, macaroni and cheese sauce mix, just like box macaroni and cheese, but absolutely not like that in the toxicity of it. And then I also, when you buy the cookbook, you can submit proof of purchase that you bought it, and I send you a free ebook of 18 additional recipes. They're kind of the ones that came to me after my book was published and I couldn't add them. So they're like off the cutting room floor, they say, I guess, the ones that didn't make it into the book. But I have a lot of mixes in there. It's all convenience foods. So mixes you can make in advance or foods you can freeze and then thaw out for a quick meal. But yeah, making a mix is a really economical and fast way to put a healthy meal on the table.
Yeah, I like that. I saw those and I thought, oh, those are great ideas.
And if you can make a mix, then your kids can, just scoop out a cup of pancake mix and make their own pancakes kind of more on their own.
Yeah, I love that. I think when you have plant-based kids, it's going to be really important to teach them how to cook because that's a skill that they're going to need when they leave home and go out on their own as well.
Exactly. The world is not going to offer you nutritious food. You simply have to cook yourself.
Yeah.
These vegetables are like crisp tender now, so that didn't take too long. You don't want them to be just, brightly colored and vibrant. And try to use your kids' very favorite vegetables so that they are excited about it. And sometimes I'll add in like a little bit of foods they're not fans of, like add some mushrooms so they're exposed to them. Maybe they picked them out for a while, but they're exposed to it. And it takes like between 12 and 15 exposures before a kid's willing to even try something sometimes. So don't give up the first time they turn up their nose.
Good advice, because they will. When it's something new you put on their plate, they're going to be like, I
know, right? I'm going to blend up this stir fry sauce really quick and then pour that over the veggies.
Okay, great.
It's going to be loud for a minute.
Oh, no worries. Zoom will filter it out.
Okay.
And I love her kitchen. Don't you guys just love her kitchen? So great. I want white cabinets so bad. So I'm trying to convince Tom to remodel our kitchen.
So if you don't want to blend it, you could just use garlic powder and ginger powder. But since I used the fresh, I blended it up. But you could just stir it together in a bowl. That's the only reason we needed to blend it, was to blend that ginger and garlic. So I'm just going to pour that over the vegetables and heat it for a second so that the sauce will thicken.
This is such an easy recipe.
Yeah, super easy. Just sauce, veggies. The tofu is totally optional. You can just do the vegetables and the rice and the sauce. And my noodles are almost. You can mix the noodles in with the vegetables and sauce, or you can serve that on the side. But we're just about done. So I just only wish you were here so I could give you all a little sample of it.
I wish we were there too. I've always said if I had a lot of money and I could choose between a personal trainer or a personal chef, I would totally take the personal chef. The biggest treat for me is when somebody cooks for me.
Mhm.
So I
As
love that.
cook for someone is such a gift because you're taking care of their body and their soul, and it's just so meaningful. That's my love language, I think, is cooking for people. I love to do that. The problem is
Well, you're good at it. You're very good at it.
a lot of people don't like my kind of food, but you would definitely appreciate my food, but some people wouldn't.
So Tiffany or TS has a question. She said that the extra firm tofus tend to have more fat because they don't have as much water in them. For people watching fat intake, have you noticed this as a problem?
So you can just choose where you want to eat your fat. So if you're eating tofu, maybe just eat less fat the rest of the day. It also has lots of plant-based protein and really beneficial isoflavones that are like cancer fighting. So to me, it's worth it, and it's not a saturated fat. So, but you're right, they do have more fat and calories in general.
Which when you're feeding children, though, that's really important.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, it's good because their stomachs are small. They don't eat a huge quantity of food. So you've got to try to pack in the calories where you can. So
my kids in particular have very little appetites. They just do not eat a lot. So every bite they do take, I really need it to have a lot, a lot packed in there, lots of nutrition and calories and even the fat. Children need much more fat than adults. Well, not like no one needs a ton of fat, but they say like 30% of children's calories should come from fat. So I try to give them some tofu or some, nut butters or nuts or seeds every meal, or at least 1 or 2 meals a day. So
yeah, it's different when we're feeding our kids versus ourselves.
yeah.
Tiffany has a question for you, Faith. She wants to know, did you run into any resistance with your children's pediatrician about raising them plant-based?
It's funny. I feel like pediatricians rarely even want to talk about nutrition. They should care how you're feeding your children, but I haven't found mine to even ask. Thankfully, just out of luck and randomness, because I live in Idaho, which is very meat and potatoes country. But the pediatrician I just kind of landed upon is vegan. So he doesn't push cow milk onto me. So yeah, I haven't run into that. But if you do, just have faith in your own mother gut. If you feel this is the best way to feed your children, just don't pay attention to what your pediatrician says. You know what to do best, and just, ignore what they say.
Yeah. How fortunate for you. That's great. Well, I have to say, I'll share that when our daughter had her first child, when her pediatrician found out that she was going to be feeding her whole food plant-based, he asked our daughter to keep a food diary for a week. And then he had her meet with a dietitian, and the dietitian went over what Katie was feeding her child. And the dietitian told her, you are doing a great job, but you do need to include a little more fat, a little more nut butters and avocado, and more tofu, to get those fats in. And then the pediatrician ordered lab work for our granddaughter because he wanted to make sure that everything was great. And he was so impressed with her labs when they came back, because she was not deficient in anything, not even iron.
Wow, that's great.
This looks beautiful.
I had a similar experience. I had my kids' nutrition test too, and they weren't deficient either. And I don't even remember to give them like a multivitamin very often. It's basically just the food. So
yeah,
I give them one for the B12 and the D and stuff. But
yes.
I think it's mostly the food. But yeah, here's a little children's plate, and we have some tofu you can put on top. But to make this lower fat for an adult, you can simply omit the nut butter in the sauce and skip the tofu if you wanted. You can put some little fruit on the side, and you have a perfect little lunch or dinner. And of course, for the parents too, you have delicious food. So
Yeah, that's gorgeous. I could see my grandkids eating that. It's beautiful. I'm excited to make that for them as well.
you
And
can
if
sprinkle.
people wanted to reduce the fat in the sauce, but they still wanted to have that peanut butter flavor, there's the peanut butter powder, and PB2 makes one called Pure, and it doesn't have any salt or sugar added to it, but they've taken out the fat, and it has really good flavor. So that would give you the peanut butter flavor without the added fat too.
Yeah.
Great recipe.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tangy and has that garlic and ginger, which gives amazing flavors in all cooking, but especially Asian cooking.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So do you batch cook at all and freeze things ahead?
That was one of my goals for this year, was to get into a batch cooking habit. It's not going so well.
Well, you have a new baby and a cookbook.
So like that it's a very beneficial thing to do, but I'm always just kind of making food for right now, not making food for the future, just kind of surviving for like this meal, this day. And so I need to cook when it's not a meal time. I've realized, like, I can't batch cook when it's time to make dinner. I need to batch cook like at night when my kids are in bed or something, and just put it all away in the freezer. Otherwise I make a lot and we all just eat it up so fast that it's like I didn't even make extra, you know. My husband,
Yeah.
he loves to eat large quantities of food, and he's athletic and thin, and he just loves to really eat a lot, and it's, you know, fairly low calorie, high volume food, so he can eat a lot. But it seems like no matter how much I make, he just eats it all up. So I need to make food outside of meal times to prepare for the future.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So for the week, do you meal plan ahead of time and plan out what you're going to make for the week?
Yep, I always do that. I don't know how I would function if I didn't meal plan. Although on occasion, like, I don't have a plan for one given night for some reason or another. And so I try to always have some like backup meals that I could always make at any time. I have a few of those recipes in my book, of recipes that use mostly pantry and freezer ingredients, in case you haven't been to the store in a while, or you just got back from a vacation and your fridge is empty. I think those are important to have, or some back pocket reliable recipes.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody, whether you're cooking for a family or just yourself, you need to have those for those nights where it's like, what am I going to make? You know, I think it's a good idea to do
Yeah,
that.
vegetables and some like rice and pasta. Even tofu has a very long shelf life, so you could keep it in the fridge or freezer for months even. But yeah, having those staple ingredients on hand makes you able to whip up a healthy meal even without fresh groceries.
Yeah. So if we have some newer moms that are watching, or maybe we have grandparents that babysit their kids, do you have some tips for them on feeding whole food plant-based to children?
Yeah. One thing I like to do is just have lots of little handheld things that they can grab on their own. So like little healthy mini muffins. I have a banana oat muffin in my cookbook that's sweetened with dates. Those are super yummy, and kids can just eat those so easily. Or like little breakfast cookies, which are, you know, not super sweet like a dessert cookie. They're more like an oatmeal, handheld oatmeal. Making a lot of those and keeping those in the freezer so you have homemade healthy snacks, so you're not relying on packaged snacks. That's a big help for me. And then also, I do buy some packaged snacks that are healthier for times when I don't have anything prepared, like some fruit leathers that are just fruit, and little bags of trail mix and stuff like that. What are some other tips I have? Just getting your kids involved in the choosing of it. Like, it's great to have a cookbook, for example, or create a Pinterest board for your older kids and just say, what sounds good to you? Like, you pick out a few things like you did with your grandchildren, like you pick what to make. And if all the options are healthy, then it doesn't really matter what they pick, because, you know, they're all good options. And then
that
certain things, I have some pages in my book of how you can get your kids involved. Like, what can they actually do based on their age? And like, for example, littlest children can peel garlic. My kids love peeling the garlic or peeling an onion, or just playing in the sink with water, or like washing dishes, washing dishes, just kind of being involved and helping. That makes them more excited to eat the nutritious food that you've prepared.
Yeah. Those are all really great tips. Tom's going to show a picture of the what I made. Going to put it on there. So this is your recipe for the fruit cobbler that I shouldn't say I made it. The kids and I made it together. It was really yummy. And you say, you can use whatever fruit you have. And we ended up I had a frozen mixed fruit from Costco that had strawberries and peaches and mango. And it was really pretty and colorful and had a ton of flavor with it too. And then do you have the other one there too, Tom?
Check.
So, and of course, they were just loving that. The cobbler part of it on top was so delicious. And then they chose the Dole Whip as well. And we made that. And I really wanted to make the chocolate chip bars that were like in that same dessert section. And I thought they would pick that because of the chocolate, but they didn't. But this was a really big hit. This had great flavor and great texture. And then they were like, well, let's make all the flavors. I said, well, not today, but we'll pick a flavor to make each time we decide to make something out of the cookbook. So anyway, that was really good.
The chocolate cherry ice cream in there is my family's absolute favorite. Whenever we eat it, we're just like, this is so good. Chocolate and cheese, so good.
I love that. Well, we're going to try that. That's on our list. We're going to try making that one as well. Let's see. I thought I saw somebody else have a question. Oh, somebody says, what would you say to the people who think that they're not interested in tofu because of the estrogen content?
Such a good question. I have a little tofu course that I sell because I get this question so much and it takes a little bit of explaining. So in my course, I have some videos about that, but I'll just tell you right now, there's a lot of research on this. So like back in the early 2000s, Men's Health and different men's magazines kind of vilified soy for some reason. I don't know. I guess they were promoting whey protein instead of soy protein. Not surprising. But anyway, there's just really no evidence that the estrogen messes with hormones. So soy protein isolate, which is not a whole food, it's what they put in protein powders and bars and stuff. That's different than a whole food, which is like tofu is the whole soybean ground up. So when you're eating whole soy, there's just really no concern. Whereas soy protein isolate has had more of an impact on hormones. But just avoid the soy protein isolate, avoid soy protein powders, avoid, the protein bars that have soy protein isolate in it. That's not a whole food and that's different. But there's just so many benefits to whole soy foods. They actually prevent cancer and they can stabilize your hormones. And it's not any concern for men. It's not going to feminize men. Yeah. It's a good choice. There's more on that in Neil Barnard's book, Your Hormones in Balance, or Your Body in Balance. It's a book about how food affects your hormones. And he has a whole section on soy in there and how soy is not to blame for estrogen dominance. It's more of a high fat diet. Like too much fat is what creates too much estrogen.
Great explanation. And there is a lot of misinformation out there. So you're absolutely right. So if you guys want to know more, then go to her website and get her course about that. That's wonderful. So a lot of moms were questioning you. Is that why you ended up doing?
Yeah, just people in general. They'd see I made tofu and just ask me lots of questions about it. So I was like, okay, I need to answer their questions and just create a system for answering all these tofu questions.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's wonderful because there is so much misinformation out there. All right. Well, I think we're caught up then on all of the questions. I can't thank you enough I love the cookbook. My grandkids love the cookbook. So Christmas is coming, you guys. This would make a wonderful Christmas gift and also a wonderful addition to your own library of whole food plant-based cookbooks. So order it now. And how do they get the bonus? You want to mention that again?
Where you can fill out a form and I'll send you the ebook right away. So you have something to start using before you get your cookbook. So faithful.com, and you can go to the search bar and just type in like proof of purchase and it will pop up a form that says get your free ebook. And so I'll email that to you right away. Or if you follow me on Instagram, I'm posting the link to that all the time. But yeah, I'll send you that ebook right away, or just send me a message, whatever you need to do to get a hold of me, I'll send you that ebook ASAP.
That's fantastic. So you guys order it now so that you'll get it. You'll probably get it before Thanksgiving and you'll have some new options to make. And the stir fry looks amazing. I'm going to try making that as well. And let's stay in touch. And I hope you do really great with the cookbook. You put your heart and soul in it, and it's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Tami. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah. Okay. Wishing you well.
Right. Bye.
Bye. Wasn't that great, you guys? She is so delightful. She's so sweet and kind-hearted. And I'm telling you, this cookbook, it's just absolutely amazing. I showed it to our daughter, who's the mother of our 3 grandchildren, and she said, "Mom, this is a fantastic cookbook." And we were like, "Where was it when your first child was born?" We needed this like 6 years ago. So anyway, that's fantastic. If you have, Tom and I have about 10 minutes left to be on. So if you guys have any questions for us, let us know. And again, that's Faithful Plateful. And she has a YouTube channel. So be sure that you subscribe to her YouTube channel. And if other people are asking you about how to feed kids, this would be a really good resource, as well as her Instagram account as well. I don't know if you guys saw us, but we did a live show yesterday. It was extra. We were on yesterday morning at 10 with Nick from Local Spicery. And so go back and watch that. And so Tom's going to show you, he made this. This is actually the one that I made. And it's the, or how do you say it correctly?
Horchata.
The H is silent. So it is a wonderful, lightly sweetened Mexican drink. And we made it from rice and made it from scratch. And as soon as we got off yesterday, I started soaking my rice to make it. And Tom and I absolutely loved it. It is incredibly delicious. And people are asking me for the written recipe. And so when we get off this morning, I will make a blog post and I will make a printable recipe for you guys so that if you want to try it, you can. In doing a little bit of research last night about it, I saw that I found a couple of bloggers who blogged about making it from scratch. And they said, after you blend it in the blender, you're blending rice and dates and cinnamon and vanilla in the blender. And they said, if you let it set in the refrigerator for 24 hours before you strain it, that it actually gets even creamier. And so I'm going to make another batch and try it that way. And afterwards, after the video yesterday, Nick did email me and he said he forgot to mention that when you let it set in the refrigerator after you've strained it overnight, that you will get some sediment in the bottom, and he doesn't stir that back in. He just pours the milk off and doesn't stir that back in. So you do get some sediment that managed to get through the sieve And so,
But you don't have to drink it.
but you don't have to drink it. But it was delicious. Tom was like, he went outside and was doing some yard work. And when he came in, I had that for him. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And I said, I've never actually had eggnog, but I know a lot of people make a vegan eggnog. And I said, this is totally a replacement for vegan eggnog for us as a special holiday drink. And I think our grandkids would love it too. So anyway, go back, watch yesterday's video if you didn't see it. And Nick also taught us all about cinnamon. And so I'm anxious to have him on again. And we haven't picked a subject yet, but he wants to come on frequently and do those little teaching segments with us about spices. So I'm super excited about that. Okay. Anybody have any questions for me this morning? Cheryl says, great show. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for being so sweet. Let's see. So what we have coming up next week, we have on November 10th, we have Wanda and Lisa from National Health Association. They're going to be talking about plant-based travel with the National Health Association. And so they can answer all kinds of questions about traveling, and that will be fun. On November 17th, we have Rose from Plant Life Chose Us. She's a health and fitness instructor. She does all kinds of amazing online programs, and she contacted me with a really great idea. So she's going to do a cook-off, or maybe it would be an ice cream off. I'm not sure what we're going to call it, but she's going to make nice cream in the Vitamix as well as in the Ninja Creamy, and then have a side-by-side comparison. And so I think that'll be really fun. And that's going to be on November 17th. And she is this really sweet young gal that is a real dynamo. I think you guys are really going to enjoy her. Then on Tuesday, November 22nd, that's the week of Thanksgiving. And we will have Super Cubes. Michelle from Super Cubes is going to be with us at 10 a.m. that morning. We're going to have a special something all about Super Cubes for you guys. I can't tell you in advance, but tune in that morning because you know how much we love to use Super Cubes for our batch cooking. And then that same day, come back at noon, and at noon we will have Corey from Holland Bowl on, and we're going to have some exciting things to talk to you about for that as well. And of course, that week is Thanksgiving, so we will not be doing a live show on Thursday, but we will probably be doing a live show on Friday for Black Friday, and letting you know all of the vendor deals that we know about and the Amazon deals. So, and we will be, looking for all of the equipment that we use to be able to share with you about that. So Tiffany says, ooh, a nice cream off. How exciting. Yes, it should be. It should be exciting. So I'm curious about what you guys are making for Thanksgiving. If you go to the blog, I have a recipe roundup post. So you can just put in the search box recipe roundup. Or if you go to my Facebook page, the very top post on my Nutmeg Notebook Facebook page, I have pinned there a link to the recipe roundup. And so those are our favorite recipes. We have been 9 years now. This will be 9 years of eating plant-based and going through the holidays. And so those recipes on there are my family favorites, whole food plant-based that we enjoy on the holidays. I don't know what I'm making yet because we don't know exactly who's coming yet, who can make it that day. So we're still waiting for other family members to make their plans. Mona, are you asking about, Mona says, I like mine warm. Can you warm this and add to coffee? If you're talking about the horchata, what Nick said is that he said it normally is served as a cold beverage over ice. But if you want to warm it up and have it warm, I don't see why not. I have a chai almond milk recipe on my on the blog, and it's, almond milk with some chai seasonings and a little bit of maple syrup in it, but you could use dates. Absolutely. That is served warm. That's very delicious. And he said that the horchata makes a really nice creamer for your coffee or for your tea as well, because it has that little bit of cinnamon and vanilla in it. But I think if you want to warm it up, it'd be great. Tiffany says, yay, congratulations on 9 years. Thank you so much, Tiffany. We're super excited about that. Yeah. And Jesse says, well, time flies when we're having fun, doesn't it? So Mona says she's thinking of making the lentil loaf, but using poultry seasonings. I think that would be absolutely delicious. There's so much that you can do, you guys. And I have my set of recipes, and then all of your, your favorite plant-based YouTubers and bloggers and Instagrammers, they're all posting their favorite holiday recipes as well. So I think, there's lots to choose from. And so here's how we handle it. This question gets asked a lot. So when we have just our family, everybody's plant-based and everybody will eat all the same food, and it's super easy to do. When we get together with some extended family that are not plant-based, then we're respectful of the way they eat and they're respectful of the way we eat. And so if they want to, even if they're coming to my house, I let people bring meat. I don't cook any meat, but if they want to bring meat and cook it here or have it already cooked, I don't want it cooked here, but if they want to bring their meat already cooked and add that, to all the plant-based healthy yumminess that we're offering, I'm okay with that. And if we get invited to their house, then I bring usually the shepherd's pie, because that can feed everybody. Even the people who follow the standard American diet will eat the shepherd's pie because it's so delicious. It gives them their potatoes and they love the, the flavor of the filling. And then I'll also bring dessert. I'll bring a salad, and I always bring enough to share with everybody because they always want to taste all of our food. And so that's how we do it, because we want to be inclusive. We feel like if they taste our food, they see us eating it, they see how healthy we are and how great we're all doing on a plant-based diet, then, it's an opportunity to be an example for other people. So, so that's what we do. If I'm invited to somebody else's house, I just say, oh, don't worry about cooking for us. I'll bring stuff. And our extended family goes out of their way, though, to try to make something that is plant-based, oil-free for us, which is really nice. So, so anyway, that's how we do it. And I think that's about all we've got then. I don't see any other questions. I want to thank Tiffany and Jesse for being in the chat and helping us today. And thanks to Faith for coming on and making that yummy stir fry. I'm excited to try that. The recipe is in the description underneath the YouTube video. I lost my train of thought for a second.
Click on more.
Click on more and you can get it. And so anyway, you coming over to say hi?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Tom's coming on to say
You get the
hi.
Same camera now.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Tom has one more appointment, one more.
One or two. I don't know if
Oh,
it takes two
my
visits for them to set the final
Oh, so
prescription.
he has another surgical procedure on his eyes tomorrow. And then we're hoping that everything goes well after that. It kind of had a little glitch in there and had to have something fixed. And So anyway, and then he probably won't be wearing glasses.
You'll
when-
miss these. No, I'll still have reading glasses. You'll miss
I know,
these.
but you won't for doing the show. You probably won't have to wear glasses, will you?
I have to have my reading, my computer.
Oh,
I have to wear
you
my
have to have your
computer.
computer glasses
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
I'll have perfect distance vision when we're done, but I'll still need reading and computer distance glasses. So,
Okay,
anyway,
that makes
okay.
sense. All right, you guys. Well, thank you, Jesse and Tiffany, for being here. Thank you,
Yes.
Tom, for doing all that you did to set everything up today.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
you guys were doing so great. You didn't need a lot of my help.
No, we did good, huh?
Mhm. Okay.
All right. I'm Tami,
And I'm Tom.
and we help you get healthy and stay healthy, one meal at a time.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everybody. See you next week.